Hey everyone, so for today's video, I'm going to be doing something a little different. I did half of my face with under $50 worth of affordable makeup and the other half of my face with exactly $400 worth of more luxury makeup. I do a series on my channel called Save or Splurge, and I feel like this is kind of in the same vein as those videos. They're not necessarily dupes videos because honestly, I don't think that a lot of true dupes exist, but there are many similar products. I love comparing formulas. I love comparing textures and wear times, the colors. I feel like it's kind of helpful to see them side by side on the face. So I hope that you guys do find the video helpful, and I will also leave my Save or Splurge playlist link down below if you guys are interested in similar videos to this. And let me know down below, do you have a guess? Which side do you think is affordable? And which side do you think is luxe? Pretty sure that cold brew is not a good idea at 6 p.m. Let's first start off with the luxury side. And I have to say that this is probably the most expensive primer I've ever really truly loved. It's the Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Face Base. And I have to tell you, I mean, I think a lot of you already know this, but I really do feel like this primer is worth the cash. $62 is a pretty penny. They do offer a sample size, but I have to tell you that whenever I put this on, even without putting makeup on top of it, my skin looks smoother, it looks fresher. Makeup loves to glide on top of it. So I found that even some kind of finicky foundations will still look good if I have applied this. And for me, I mean, I think that's what makes a primer super worth it. As for an affordable primer, what I'm going to use today is the AOA Studio Wonderskin Illuminating Primer. So I've talked about this product before on my channel. You can get it on Shop Miss A. This is $1. Yeah, you heard that right. You don't need much of this either, but this will give you such a beautiful glossy glow. So I'm not going to put on too much. Look at that. It just gives you such a beautiful illuminated look. This is by far the cheapest and most impressive makeup item that I own. And I have to say also that with any of these affordable products or luxury products, I don't like them because they're luxury and I don't like them because they're affordable. I think most of us have a preference to save our money, obviously, but I try and look at the products for what they are. Now let's move on into foundation. And I figured for foundation, for a luxury foundation, we should go with kind of an old standby, a little bit of a luxe kind of classic product, which is the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk. This is just one of those foundations that is a favorite of many makeup artists. And I think that this is one of those cult favorite products because one, it photographs really beautifully. And two, in person, it still looks like skin. It definitely has a little bit of an airbrush quality, a little bit of a blurring quality, but it's a medium coverage, so it's not a really full coverage, heavy looking product. I'm wearing the shade number 2, and you can see, I just really enjoy the way that this is. I just love that it's able to make the skin just look a little bit airbrushed, but you can kind of still see, you know, freckles peeking through, so it almost kind of tricks the eye into thinking that you're not really wearing much coverage at all. And now for the more affordable foundation that we're going to be putting on, we have the Physicians Formula, the Healthy Foundation. Now, if you are a longtime subscriber of mine, first of all, thank you for sticking with me. I think we've come a long way, but I really have enjoyed this foundation for a very long time, and I fully thought that they discontinued it, but I actually reached out to Physicians Formula and they did not discontinue it. It's actually only available at Walmart and on the Physicians Formula website, which honestly fine with me as long as I still have access to it, because I have to tell you, this is one of my favorite affordable foundations ever. It just gives you such a beautifully natural and perfected look. It's very seamless on the skin. It does have that touch of blur. So, you know, it's very reminiscent of the Armani Luminous Silk. The packaging is really luxe. I will say that the packaging is annoying because by the time that you run out of this, it's really difficult to get the rest out. But it's also really convenient to kind of just swipe this onto the skin, if I'm being honest. This also has a very soft luminosity. Again, it's not a super, super dewy product. I actually find that this lasts a really long time as well. So, I mean, I'm just kind of listing off the reasons why I've loved this one for a long time. But really, I think this is one of the best affordable drugstore foundations out there, and you can go ahead and build it up. I always like to go in just a little bit more right here. I have to say right off the bat, like looking at my skin in person, it looks very, very similar. Although I will say my skin feels better when I have the Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Face Base on. But now let's move on into concealer. For the luxe concealer we're going to be using, it is the Kosas Revealer Concealer. And I also should probably mention that not all of these products are going to be, I don't know, luxe price products. You know, they're mid-range and up. I love this concealer. It's a holy grail concealer. I do not blink at the price. This is $28. I would pay for it over and over and over and over and over again. And on this side, I'm going to be using my Maybelline Fit Me. These are actually like my two longest running holy grail concealers. I do prefer the Kosas now, but this is just still such a good concealer, and I've been using it for years. And it was the first concealer that I ever found that didn't make my under eyes look really dry and cakey, and it concealed the hollowness that I have under my eyes rather than just concealing the dryness. Only certain formulas I find kind of flatten out that area for me without looking dry. I actually have a whole video about that. I'll leave it linked down below. You're probably wondering why I'm not blending this in, but I actually like to let my concealer sit for about 1 minute to 2 minutes. I'm going to use that time to chug some coffee. And let's blend this out. So you can see the Kosas, it just has a really nice kind of brightening effect on the eyes. Really beautiful. This is the shade 1.5C. So happy that they expanded the shade range. And then over here we have the Maybelline Fit Me. This is the shade Fair, which I believe they reformulated and made a little bit peachier than it used to be. Honestly, I think both sides look really nice. Now let's move on into bronzer. So this is going to be an interesting one because this is still a pretty new product to me. It is the Patrick Ta Major Sculpt Bronzer and Contouring Duo. I have the shade She's Statuesque, and I have only tried this out maybe 1 or 2 times, but I wanted to give it a go again today. So what you first do is go in with the cream contour, and then you can layer the powder over top. I also have the Duo blush from Patrick Ta as well. They mentioned that you should use the powder before you use the cream, and that's something that I always thought was really interesting about this product, and it really, really works excellently that way, but it got switched with this product. So what I want to do on this side is kind of combine the two and see how these products work together, because for me, you know, within a line of makeup products, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a little bit of cohesion. So I'm really excited to try those two together. This isn't really scientific. I'm pretty much going to be using the same sponge the whole time and just applying onto this side of the face. That's something that I've noticed with this cream, is that it's not super, super pigmented. I actually find that it's less pigmented than the cream within the blush. It is buildable though. There it is. You can see it gives a really, really pretty shape. On the skin it looks subtle, but again, we're going in with the powder now because I know that this is a little bit more pigmented than the cream. Something nice about doing this is that it's going to last a little bit longer than a cream alone. Yeah, I think it looks pretty good. It's blending nicely. It's not like the best bronzer look I think I've ever had. Now let's go over here and use a little bit of the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. Now this has been a bronzer that I have raved about for a very, very long time. It's actually $5.99 right now. It usually retails for around $10. Years ago, before I really got into cream products, I was trying to find a bronzer that really melted into my skin and looked very seamless. And I just felt like even the ones that everyone liked, they looked choppy on my skin. But this is the one that always looked good. It just reinforces what a lot of us already know, is that there are some really, really excellent affordable products out there. I'm using the same brush. I just took off the excess of the other product. And there it is. It's the Patrick Ta. Here's the Physicians Formula. Is it just me? Like, this looks really natural and soft and pretty, but I just feel like I like this shape more. I don't know. I won't make any final decisions, but let me know down below. And now we move on into blush. So getting back into the Patrick Ta Duo, this has been a blush that I've been a very, very big fan of for a long time. It's the Duo Do We Know Her? An incredible, like, coral, juicy pop of color. Just put it onto the cheeks. Those powders are blending really, really nicely together. I'm going to just take a little bit of the cream and then put that right on top. Really, really love what happens when you put the cream on top. Like, everything just melts in together. I just really, really enjoy that color. I have to be honest, the more that I'm using this, the more I'm almost like, I don't know if it's worth the money. I feel like the blush formula is better, but again, to be determined. I'll keep you guys updated, but yeah, I'm way more impressed with the blush as of now. Now let's put some blush onto this cheek. And I have another very juicy, pretty color. It's the e.l.f. Putty Cream Blush, and this is the shade Fiji. For this, I'm just going to use a dry sponge and just kind of stamp it onto the cheeks. I find that that works really well with this kind of formula. Right, that's more than I was expecting, but I think that this kind of putty formula is so beautiful, especially for summer, because it lasts a really long time. And as you can see, it gets along really, really well with powder products. So I used a powder bronzer, I put this on top of it, and there's no skipping. They work really, really well together. And it's kind of because this is not a true cream to powder formula in my opinion, but it does set down to a little bit more of a powdery finish. And there is this side all done. I really, really enjoy how sculpted and pretty it looks. Yeah, I have to say, I feel like this has smoother, more rich pigment, and over here it just looks a little flat. Interesting. Now moving on into the eyes, of course. I have two different cream shadows to compare. This is a holy grail shadow from Charlotte Tilbury. It is Oyster Pearl. I talk about this so much on my channel, but it really is like an all-time favorite. It's so versatile. It looks so chic, and it's really easy to wear and to use. I just love how reflective it is, how creamy and blendable it is, and the color I find to be really unique. It's not too warm, it's not too cool, and you can see when you blend it out, it's almost like really one of the most perfect one and done shadows, because it ends up just looking like you have more than one shadow going on. Really absolutely gorgeous. I mean, again, that took like 2 seconds. I love that almost like glossy, reflective look that it gives my lids. And on this side, we are going to be using the Maybelline Color Tattoo in the shade High Roller. So I also am a big fan of this. And this shade is also really pretty because you can see, again, not too cool, not too warm. Formula I find to be really nice because it really lasts. The Maybelline color tattoos last a long time, absolutely. In fact, maybe even longer than the Charlotte Tilbury, but I do prefer the Charlotte Tilbury just because you can see this looks ultra reflective. I just prefer the actual texture and the way that it ends up reflecting on the lids. But I also really enjoy the color tattoo just because it lasts a long time. This color is really pretty, really easy to blend out. I will say that not all of these shades in the color tattoo line do I like. That didn't make sense, but you guys know what I mean. I think some of the more matte shades look weird on my eyelids, like they look a little bit dry, but this one blends out really prettily, looks really nice. Also, I want to point out one more time, you see how the Charlotte Tilbury just reflects back more light and looks just a little bit more glossy. It still will eventually set down, by the way. The formula though is a touch more moussey, and how over on the Maybelline side, it still looks really beautiful and it has a really nice color, but the finish just isn't quite the same. And I know, again, it's not a dupes video, but I hope that depending on what your preference is, that's helpful. On this side, the luxe side, we're going to be using the Chanel Inimitable Mascara. So when I did my whole Chanel brand overview, I talked about this mascara and I talked about how, you know, it's expensive. It is, how much is it again? $32, you guys. I do have to say though, it's really nice. I love that it's a really dark black look. There's enough separation, but it's not lacking in length or volume. It does a really good job kind of framing the eyes as well. So I do understand the hype surrounding Chanel mascaras. I think this one is really beautiful. I know it's expensive, but I mean, look at how it just looks like I have so many lashes. Again, it just does such a good job at kind of defining and framing the eye. And on this side, I'm going to be using the Lash Princess from Essence. And this is another one of those mascaras that I absolutely adore for its ability to really frame the eyes and make the lashes look really long. It's definitely more of that false lash effect, or for me, it's the closest I've ever gotten to looking like I have individuals on without having individuals on. Like if I could look like that every day, I would be sold. I mean, this one is pretty close too, but you guys will see this one is also very black and it gives a really fluffy look. By the way, both of these mascaras last really well on me. They don't smudge or flake. And there is the Essence Lash Princess. I mean, for $5.99, I feel like you really can't beat it. I think we need to kind of set the brows though. I do have a little bit of color in them, but I wanted to compare two different clear brow gels. So on this side, I'm going to be using my Kosas AIRBROW in the clear shade. I've really been liking this. I just love how fluffy my eyebrows look when I have it on. They say it's kind of like a laminated effect to your brows when you use it, which I can totally see that. It really like lifts up the brow hairs. And something I also like is that you can kind of place the brow hairs exactly where you want them, which for me, I really like because I have longer brow hairs, so I kind of like to finesse them until I have them, you know, exactly where I want them. It really holds up the brows all day, so I'm a big fan of this one. I also really liked the colored AIRBROWs, the more pomade pigment version of this. I really enjoyed. Like, that is quick, like goof proof, really awesome looking brow days. They really hit it out of the park with this brow launch. Also wanted to mention though, on this side, the Got To Be Glued Ultra Gel Invincible Styling Gel. I feel like the cat is out of the bag with this. If you don't mind putting this on your own spoolie, this is an insane, super affordable clear brow gel. What I like to do is just take a little bit on the back of my hand and then just use a spoolie. And I've used both the yellow version and the black tube. I think they're kind of the same. I love that this is still matte. That's really important to me. And I also like that my brows don't feel hairspray-y, even though we're pretty much using like hair gel in them. I do like that it's more matte, and I also like that it's still a little bit fluffy. That's kind of my hesitation with some gel products for the brows, is I feel like sometimes they don't look as feathery as a pomade can look, but this one still looks really good. Again, just putting the spoolie straight into the gel and then just fluffing them up. And there we go. So I think we need to put on some highlight. I actually kind of forgot to do that. On this side, I want to use the WESTMAN Atelier highlight. It's the lit up stick in the shade Nectar. And I talked about this in my best no makeup look, or my best no makeup product video. And wow. The reason I really find this product to be unique, and I mean, it's expensive, it's like $48. But the reason I really love it is that it's a step above a clear balm highlight. For me, some clear balm highlights at this point, they're just a little bit boring. If I can prep my skin really well or wear a little bit of a glowy primer under my makeup, then a lot of the times I feel like I can skip highlight. This one I feel like is worth the extra step. It still has a beautiful translucence to it. It isn't like a pure pigment shade, by the way. You can see, there it is there. It's not a straight peach pigment. It's way more translucent. It still gives a really ultra glossy appearance to the cheeks. Very, very cool product. And I also wanted to show you all the Wonderskin from AOA as a highlight, because this is actually how I usually use this product. I don't typically use it as a primer. That's applied just right over top of everything we have going. Isn't that gorgeous? I still can't believe that it's $1 sometimes. It also kind of sets down. It's a little bit of a thinner texture, so it's not going to remain really tacky. Very, very pretty. This to me is a little bit closer to like a true liquid highlight. To me, this looks way more like a balmy, glossy kind of product than this does necessarily. I think lastly, we have the lips. So on the luxe side, I'm going to be using a new favorite, which is the Chanel Rouge Coco Hydrating Lipsticks. And this is the shade Mademoiselle. I love this formula. It's really one of the best lipstick formulas that I've tried. And I really enjoy it because it's hydrating. It's not too much pigment, but it's also not enough pigment. There's some more sheer balm lip products that I feel like are too thin. They don't give me enough hydration. Sometimes they give too much color or they're too melty. I feel like this is a really, really good balanced formula. Also, is that shade not like perfect? And now on this side, I'm going to use the Revlon Super Lustrous Lipstick in the shade Nude Illuminator. And I wanted to pick out this one because I wanted to point out what I don't like in more of a sheer lip product or lipstick. I know a lot of people really love these. I'm not a huge fan, at least with this shade. For me, it looks pretty. It has that sheer pigment to it, but because of the shine, I feel like you can see my lip lines more readily. It's also quite thin and more slippy, which I don't like. I like for my lip products to have a little bit more heft to them, more balminess rather than like a slipperiness. So it's pretty, there's nothing wrong with it, but for me, this is a little bit more up my alley. Now let's do one last comparison. This is the luxury side of my face, and then this is the affordable side. So I want to quickly go through some of these products really fast, do some last minute comparisons. Honestly, primer wise, I feel like the Bobbi Brown just does it for me. My skin feels better on this side, like I feel more hydrated. I feel like the foundation looks really, really beautiful on top of it. This is just a holy grail product. I really, really enjoy it. Foundation wise, I think it says a lot that I think both of these look really beautiful. They both blended really beautifully on top of the skin. I honestly really like both, and I think the same also goes with the concealer. Obviously, I think the Kosas is kind of my go-to holy grail right now, but the Maybelline has been a standby for so long. I think what I'm most surprised about, though, are the cheek products. I much prefer this side as far as cheek products go. The butter bronzer and the e.l.f. Putty Cream blush did an excellent job blending into each other. The Patrick Ta duo and Do We Know Her I still think is absolutely gorgeous, but you know what? I feel like this is lacking something, and I'm not sure if it's the shade, if there's just not enough pigment there. This side bronzer wise is just not doing it for me. It's not really giving me enough, so something to keep in mind. Honestly, as far as the eyes go, I really do feel like the Charlotte Tilbury is worth the extra spend in my opinion, just because I really do love the reflection that it has. However, this is like one of my favorite affordable shadows that I own. Both of these mascaras I think are also gorgeous as well. Because you have to throw away mascara more quickly than you do other makeup products, I tend to go for something that's a little bit more affordable, but I would be lying if I sat here and said that I didn't think that this was a really, really nice mascara. As far as highlight goes, I do think that the Westman Atelier is such a beautiful, unique formula. I love that they were able to capture what I love about more of a pigment highlight and a kind of clear balm highlight. And for me, the clear winner for lip products is the Chanel Rouge Coco hydrating lipstick. They last longer, they feel more comfortable on the lips, they fade really, really beautifully. So I hope that you guys enjoyed the video. Definitely make sure to let me know down below, you know, what you thought about this. Did you enjoy this little experiment? I would love to know your thoughts. Thank you guys again so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one.